live in meth country in the deep south. All kinds of weird shit goes on here, and nobody really notices or cares because it's out in the sticks. Walking to my job at a restaurant because I was 16 and lol no car. Again, out in the sticks, the roads aren't even paved. Rusty pickup truck drives past me, then slowly reverses. Two hillbillies are in the cab, one goes, "Hey kid, guess what?" Then takes out a pistol and starts shooting at me. Run like a bitch into the woods, he misses all the shots. Hear them hooting and laughing, fire some more and peel out. Wait in the woods for a few minutes, then hike to work through the woods and arrive late. Boss sees me shaking, asks what happened. I tell him and he's like, "Oh. Hey kid, you own a gun?" "No." "Maybe you should, and start bringing it with you. I don't. The cops here would care, and I sure as shit don't. Fuck Kentucky."
I got a story. Be me. Hunt on deer lease in East Texas. Hunting for boar in a dense hardwood bottom. Hunting with open-sided wassertinac while in tree stand, bushes about 40 meters in front of me. About 30 meters in front is feeder. It's getting dusk. Watching two deer nibble on corn in front of feeder. Suddenly they get spooked and run, not a normal spook either, they hauled ass away. Hear guttural horrific roar. Then the smell hits me, a very acidic rotten smell. Something is in the brush in front of me. It moves back and forth, snapping twigs and crunching leaves. Shit my pants. PNG. This goes on for at least 5 minutes until I can't handle a unseal feeling of terror and the smell is so bad I'm gagging. Fire into the dirt. Rustling stops. Smell fades away. Feeling of terror starts to leave. Radio Dad and tell him to come get me. Dad shows up in SXSATF. Leave. Dad thinks I encountered a big cat and nothing more. Dad is the most non-superstitious Polish man you will meet.
Up here, going to share one of my experiences in the woods. Not good at green texting, so I'll just type it. I live in central Kentucky. Around here the biggest animal I've seen has been the occasional elk. I'm a /K/fag, so I love my guns. Personally, the best multi-purpose gun to have around in Kentucky is the .270 Winchester, so I had ye old 270 out deep in the woods about 4 months ago. I was camping in my Ford Ranger with a topper I just recently purchased. I loved it being out in the woods with my gun just shooting around, until night fell. I was about ready to crawl into my topper and close the hatch when I hear a blood-curdling scream. I jump out 270 in hand ready to shoot, when I saw it. It was what looked like the dog gorilla and human mix. It was sniffing violently and stopped immediately when it saw me. I backed up to my truck store, aimed and fired. I hit that son of a bitch. Right in the neck to be exact. But to my surprise the bullet bounced off as if it hit a sheet of metal. Fuck this, I jumped in my truck and speed off. I could have sweared the thing chased me until I got off the dirt road onto the main road. I haven't been camping since.
Up here, just remembered that in fact I do have a nope story. Before 6-year-old, grandmother's house, funeral. Need a piss. Go to hallway, oil it, with a small window. Start pissing. Suddenly get weird ass feel. Look at the window. 2 fucking red eyes staring at me. Nope. Instant stream block, run back in. Say no one what happened. Shit bricks all night.
Be me, few years, Ohio, snowstorms coming. Cold winter, decided to go out exploring on our 300-acre farm. Set off with friend, pack a bit of MREs, fire source, tent, sleeping bag, flashlight and of course my trusty handgun. Feel pretty safe knowing the lay of the land. Starts to get dark on our way back, fuck daylight savings. Snow crunches beneath our feet. Decide to cut through woods. Hey Anon, where should we camp tonight? A, somewhere to keep the wind off of us. Suddenly find fresh footprints in snow. Heart falls through sphincter. Fuck, some eons out here with us. Keep walking, follow footprints. And back up on the road where we came from. Fucking on, I'm a dumbass, I reply. Been following our footprints. Follow our footprints back into the woods and find a hollowed out tree in the dense woods. Set up camp and start fire. Friend breaks out rum. Sip on it a little. Fuck, it's time for bed and on, let's get a move on tomorrow. Crawl inside tent, friend follows behind. Sleep like a baby. Daylight is barely around when I wake up. Have to piss. Step outside tent and see our fire out. Go figure, drunk ass didn't add nothing to it. Footprints all around our tent. Anon, did you get up and piss last night? No, I just got up, man. Fresh footprints all around our camp. Freak out. Let's roll back home, man, I'm creeped. So we left. It wasn't anything too scary, but imagine being out there in the middle of the woods knowing you are alone and not that anyone can find you. That snow makes noise, and I'm a light sleeper, so you wonder, how the fuck didn't you wake up?
Okay, I'll give you my black-eyed children one. This happened to me last Sunday. Be me. University student studying for finals. GF comes in and asks if I want to go to a rave she heard about. This rave was in an abandoned barn about 35 miles from town. Tell her I can't stay as I need to pass this quarter. Drive her out there and head back, no problem. Get a call at around 3 a.m. to pick GF up. Grab my Rem 9 and head out, as I have been in my fair share of fights with drunks and druggies at these types of things. As I'm driving out there I get this feeling like something's wrong, but it passed quickly. Get out there and pick up my slightly inebriated girlfriend. As I'm driving back, we both see these two people standing on the side of the road. Now my GF thought it was just people from the party, but where I live is mostly farmland, and had they been walking near the road, I would have seen them, plus they were halfway between town and the barn. GF tells me to pull over and offer them a ride. Pull over near them and immediately realize these are kids. They were only like halfway up the window of my WRX in height. They come closer to the car. Right then I get this overwhelming feeling of get the hell out of there. GF doesn't know why I'm freaked out. Kids walk up to the car, pale as a corpse and blacked out eyes. She's freaked now. Throw my car in gear and just gun it. The engine redlined and we were gone. I have been shot at, stabbed, and in more fights than I'd like, but those kids or whatever they were scared me more than any of those.
About 2 years ago. Backpacking the Superior Hiking Trail in northern MN, on the Bean and Bear Lake Loop specifically. With GF, cousin, and friend. Hike for about 6-7 hours, super hot summer day, everyone wants to stop and set up camp. Find a campsite near a large lake surrounded by pine trees, but way up a rocky hill, cliff-like path. After setting up hammocks, cousin and friend try to make campfire out of soggy wet wood. GF and I go to bathe in the cold-ass lake. It virtually gets dark, everyone exhausted, but no one can sleep. Lying in hammocks awake, no one talking, all trying to sleep. Wolves howling in the distance. GF says, "Did you guys hear that?" "Yeah. Wolves howling. Super cool." Everyone shuts up again and eventually falls asleep. Next morning we wake up, pack up our stuff, and hike for another 5 or 6 hours. First trailhead parking lot we reach, everyone gives up and wants to get picked up and go home. Can't convince them to stay, 3 against 1. We leave and stay at GF's nearby family cabin for the rest of our vacation days. Was that scary enough? No? Oh. Well, that's my only good innawoods story, and it's completely normal. Sorry. At least I didn't make shit up, eh? Alright, WHO else has one?
Be in Cleveland. Walking down streets with frozen custard. Bricks start exploding near me. Nope. Drop down behind car. Shots hit wall of building. Car speeds off. Only other guy by me is running like all hell. Reach for CC pistol. Left it back in Salt Lake. Stay behind car and finish custard. Trying to let my heart stop having an attack. Report to police. No follow-up. Go back to SLC, never go to Cleveland again.
A friend. Friend hunting with his father. Hunting area with lots of thick stretches of tall grass clearings in the woods. Sectioned off into assigned areas for hunting, A, B, C, etc. They get J and head out. Don't see much of anything all day. Out late and sun starting to set. Data's objectively bad navigator and they come across H section on their way out. Stumble across a small area with animal parts everywhere. Pieces hanging on strings on branches or a weird pile. Friend says they don't stick around long and walk rest of way back with a tight butthole and safety off. Camp I hope in 5th grade, 3-day long trip for school. They have sort of a story about the marshman, I guess that's their thing to scare kids with. Something about an old mean farmer who tried to drown his wife in the marshes we are at and succumbed by drowning to them as well and haunts the area. Literally don't think about this the entirety of the time I'm there and honestly not scared even a little bit. Until the last night when we have a bonfire. Out in woods kinda in a bowl-like depression in the ground surrounded by an embankment with trees all around, and with one trail leading in, out. It's dark and everyone enjoying s'mores around the fire. Walk away from heat to cool off and staring away from fire up on embankment. Casually leaning against a tree is tall dark shape of a person. Can only see outline of a tall hat and what looked like 6 little tiny red dots of light reflecting of something up its face. As soon as I saw it, I lost sight of it. Went back to get as close to the fire as I could and didn't say anything to anyone about it.
Not really but still I was kind of scared. Be 13-14ish. Friend calls says someone hit his sister and took off. Know who done it. Go to park by the kid's house. See him there. Exchange words. Some pushing and whatnot. He leaves. We showed him a eyes. Comes back with a 10-22. Are you fucking serious? Starts pointing it at the chick he hit's brother. Guy at the bad end of the rifle still talking shit. Someone starts screaming from behind us talking about they're calling the cops. Guy fucks off. I probably forgot a bunch of shit but I'm on my phone so I can only see 5 lines of text.
I'll start off with some of the strange howls I've been hearing. I've always lived rural except when I went to college, so I'm familiar with the many calls you'd hear in this area. There's something very large out in these woods that triggers the coyotes to freak out and yip off into the distance. It's a deep, hoarse scream that lasts about 8-10 seconds. For a while I thought it was just bear calls that I wasn't familiar with, but then during the dead of winter I was still hearing it. For those who don't know, bears hibernate
in swamp in Alaska all by myself. Standing at the edge of a pond. 100% positive I hear something walking toward me from tree line behind me. Yell out hello. No response. Time to go home. Start to walk back toward tree line to get to the truck a few hundred yards away. More steps from the woods, trees moving and leaves and stuff being crushed. Hello, how's it going? The steps stop again. No gun and alone in a swamp, I'm actually a bit scared now. Steps start again, and out walks a moose that sees me and slowly makes its way to the pond. I'm smiling ear to ear at this point. It was weird, every time I would say something the walking stopped. I was sure some deliverance level shit was about to go down.
Be sitting outside eating lunch with family. Car hauling ass down the street, guy hanging outside the window shooting. Police car in hot pursuit, also shooting. We continue eating. Such is life in South Africa.
Parents live in buttfuck nowhere. 1 year, they decide to raise rabbits for meat. They built cages and all in the woods to hold them. One night, ungodly shrieks outside. Parents use a flashlight to check outside. Cages are in the woods so can't see shit. Next morning, Dad goes outside. Cage is ripped open. Rabbits are torn to shreds. Only one left alive. Missing both right legs and a significant portion of its right side. Dad has to put it down by drowning it. Never raised rabbits again.
Be me. Live in the boonies outside of Prattville, Alabama. Not much to do, so my brother and I usually leave the trailer after breakfast. Fuck around in the surrounding woods and creeks all day. One day we head into the woods and everything is quiet. Reply to this post or your mother will die in her sleep tonight. We're kind of freaked out, but we know the area, so we continue. About 4 hours into our adventure. Find a bloody shoe. Hightail it out of there and never look back. Someone bangs on the side of our trailer that night. Dad heads out with a shotgun, finds nothing.
A couple of months ago, dead of winter, I bought some really cool headlamps, like what a spelunker might wear on their head. I got home and tested one out after dark. I walked out to the edge of my yard in stealth mode because it was dark and eerie. I heard it before I saw it. I heard big crunching noises on the ground pretty far off, so I turned the light out on my headlamp so I could get a little closer without startling whatever it was that I was hearing. At this point I was at the tree line of the property looking into the woods. I clicked the light back on and shit myself when I saw red eye shine up far too tall to be deer, and deer have white eye shine anyway, and there was a really nasty stench that I had been smelling for a little while already, but it was really strong by this time. It was like a cross between something rotting and a wet, dirty dog. I didn't know what to do at the time, so I just stood there like a moron watching these eyes in the dark. I couldn't make out what the rest of it was. The eye shine disappeared and I could hear whatever it was crunching leaves moving away from me. I ran like hell back to the house. I was so scared I forgot to watch out for the barbed wire fence and slammed it real good, which hurt like hell. Later, I thought it might have been an owl up in a tree or something, but that doesn't explain the obvious footsteps and the smell. It bothers me because I couldn't see the whole animal, so I'll always wonder what it was.
This isn't really about any encounters with strange creatures, but more the feeling of being somewhere you're not supposed to be. Live in small town surrounded by forests and fields, 13 kilometers away from big city and 5 km away from nearest town. Go to boarding school. Special. Annual track marathon. Walk with friends through the trail leading into the woods. Divert from path because team leader is awesome. Get to the beach, the forest merges with the beach. Trail over rocky path past beach houses. Trail leads up to forest, steep as fuck, hurts much. Divert from trail again, passing some lesser attractive houses. All mossy and spoopy looking. Walk up trail to deep forest. Pass a fucking spoopy house that just screams you will die here. The house was wooden, overgrown, shattered windows, mossy, and it just looked like something from a horror movie. No one else seemed bothered by it, but I just felt this gut-wrenching nausea. I truly felt like something was terribly wrong with that house. It was located so deeply into the forest and the nearest road was kms away. The path that we used to pass this house didn't exist until somewhere around 1976, where the school was established. Beach houses and nearby houses were built around the same time period and up. Someone was definitely killed in that house.
On my private property, near fence line dividing two properties. Neighbors bro as fuck, we often move around each other's properties, within reason, when hunting pigs. Rained the day before, and rain squalls still happening every now and again. Follow fresh pig tracks through mud. Come to a weird gravelly bit of the game trail, see intersection ahead, trail turns right or goes straight. Hear footsteps in gravel, assume pigs and take marlin off my shoulder, 22 LR against pigs law. Footsteps seem very bipedal, assume it's my neighbors seeing as I may have crossed onto their property. Yell out how's it going? Footsteps in gravel stop. Lol. Move through gravel towards intersection, making as much noise with my feet as I can so it doesn't seem like I tried to creep up to them. Look round intersection, no one there. Bush on either side of trail is incredibly dense, and I would have heard someone moving through it if they had. Never work out what footsteps were, local Aboriginal elder says Yowie spirit. Lol at every mate. Score a 60 kilograms pig that day from 30 meters whilst leaning against a gum tree having a smoke. Success.
Live in a cabin in the woods of Alabama for most of the year. Neighbors are a few hundred yards apart from each other. Can see their houses and could walk there if I had to, but the point is we had some land between us. One night, at like 3 a.m., I hear my neighbor's car alarm go off. Weird, because we're in the middle of bumfuck nowhere, so who would be messing with his car? After a few minutes of it going non-stop I get annoyed, call his house saying to shut the damn thing off. Yeah, sorry. I've been busy with them. Have you seen anything odd around your house lately? He sounds nervous and out of breath. Tell him no, WTF is he talking about? Dude, you're not going to believe this, but I shit you not, I saw something like a Bigfoot or something. MFW, I spend all my time reading about cryptids and other /x/ related stuff but never tell a soul because it'd be laughed at. This guy was an alligator hunter, never knew for certain if he was a believer but he said has seen weird shit out on hunts. Also seemed like a crotchety old guy who would call stories like that hippie bullshit, so what do I know? Said he saw something poking around in his tool shed. He goes out with a rifle thinking it's an animal, then he thought it might have been a man because of the body shape and it stood on 2 legs. Then it stood up at 7 feet tall, he shot in the air to scare it, and then hunched over and ran like a gorilla, sideswiping his car causing the alarm to go off. Tried searching his property for it, when I called him. We start a phone tree, calling the neighbors from his house down the line, some say they haven't seen anything, others did, others went looking. From what we gathered it went from his house to the next few in a semicircle before taking off into the swamps. Blah blah blah, no I know what's really out there blah blah blah. My only spooky story, but yeah, the swamps down here are full of all kinds of shit.
I have some OC for you I've already posted once a long time ago. Be me, 15 yo. Live in France. With my cousin and his friend. Said they want to do some camping in the backyard, they never camped before. They're young, 11 and 12. Why not? JPG. Set up a tent in the backyard, near a tree line, CF picture. They're having fun, I am here to watch over them. 2 a.m., they're tired, went to sleep. It's a big tent, with 2 separated rooms. I'm alone in one. 3 a.m., I woke up because of some noise. Something is walking on 2 legs around the tent. I'm usually not scared easily but right there I'm frozen. It walks around the tent for at least half an hour then stop. It fucking play with the zipper. I'm sweating balls. I'm trying to grab the knife I had just in case but my arm won't fucking move. It started moving around again, touching the tent. It's 4 a.m., we're in the middle of our field, and the closest city is 20 minutes away. Neighborhood are old people. I kind of pass out waiting for it to go away. Woke up, it's 7 a.m., the zipper is wide open, but no trace of anything anywhere. I will never ever fucking do camping again. Sorry for my bad English.
Working as a swamper. Moving some old fuck and his wife in. Middle of fucking nowhere. OFC, I'm not taking firearms to work, customer comfort and all that. MFW, I pull out a Colt Python, old as shit. MFW, I continue to pull out shit that looks like the guy brought to Nam and back. This shit had scratches on the casing and notches all down the barrels and stocks. Either this guy is a serious wannabe who piled at basic or a total badass. About done, hear him muttering with the wife, looks like they're arguing quietly. She sees me and freezes like a deer in headlights. He sees me and says, "Back to work, Yankee, I'm fucking Canadian." Later he loading the python in the garage. I'm shitting bricks quietly. In the truck, hauling an old tote, and this musty ass truck out. Hear the loudest, clearest gunshot I've ever not shot. Quietly look around the corner. Spatter on the walls, old fucks facing away now. MFW. Look further to see who it was. Fucker shot a pigeon on a post. After we finish, his wife gives us $60 bucks each and says, "Don't tell my husband, he doesn't like to tip Yankees."
Hi guys, I'm not good at writing or expressing thoughts, even in Russian, let alone English. But I would like to tell you a story which I found and translated into English. My English is kinda bad, because I'm still learning it. We have a lot of paranormal stuff here in Russia, a lot of websites about it, and the stories there, as it's said, are supposed to be real stories that happened to real people. I'm pretty sure that paranormal things exist, don't know why and whether depends it on religions or not. A lot of Russians, especially from rural places, encountered weird things. You can hardly find a family that has never faced something paranormal. Okay, here is the story. Hello. My name is Nico. I want to tell you a story that had happened to me many years ago when I was serving in the army. It took place in 1995. After a year of serving, I was sent into a military unit in Siberia. By this time I had already served a half of the term, 1 year. New squad accepted me nicely, and I got along well with everyone. Everything was nice there except the place was really distant from the civilization. It's situated in 20 kilometers from the nearest city, among wilderness of the taiga. In 10 kilometers to the north there was old, but still working career. Once in a while we, the soldiers, were sent to the career to help there with daily kinds of jobs. From the words of other soldiers I learned that back in Soviet times somewhere around war carried out underground nuclear explosions. Before I got to the military I was a veterinarian, so I was appointed as a military canine. I was in charge of a few dogs. All the dogs were German shepherds. The dogs were being trained for finding and rescuing people disappeared in woods. I was given a dog to train. It was a young German shepherd by the name of Taiga. It was a really strong-willed dog and was hard to tame. At the first day of training the dog even bit me, but after that we got along well. She was really smart and had a good flair. Half of a year passed and I was anticipating the day of freedom when I will be sent back home. It was a day in August. It was sunny, but wasn't hot. I and a few other soldiers were sent to the career to load a truck with sand. After a few hours of working we were sent back to the military base. In the evening before the sleeping time, I went out to see the amazing north night sky and smoke a cigarette. Unluckily I was noticed by a drunk lieutenant which hastened toward me and yelled, "Hey, soldier, you must go to the career now and take my gun," which I had forgotten there. I said, "It's already night, please give someone to go with me." The drunk lieutenant said, "No time for this, you must go there right fucking now." So that night I left the military base alone. I was going on a path among northwoods in night. The farther I went the more frightened I got. I remembered all stories about weird things, about disappeared people, about spirits and lights in the woods, about the radiation, about wolves and bears. I tried to cheer up myself, but I failed. The wild deep forest escalated the horror and I was almost panicking. I intended to reach the career after an hour and a half of walk. After a long walk I felt that it was already time to reach the career. Then I saw a faint yellow light somewhere ahead among the trees. Thank God, there it is, I thought with relief. The lights must be coming from the career's searchlights. After a minute of walking, a thought came to my mind that these weren't searchlights, because the lights that were coming from behind the trees weren't homogeneous. However, it seemed as if people with lanterns were roaming somewhere ahead. I stopped behind the tree. The lights went on, however the shimmering lessened. I glanced to that side again from the behind of the tree. For a few seconds there was darkness, but then the lights appeared again and started going my way. I didn't know what to do. I was frightened as hell, almost crying. I have realized that the lights only start approaching me when I look at them. So I sat behind the tree for maybe an hour, all paralyzed with fear. The light was still shimmering, neither getting brighter nor fading. I have decided to run away from these sources of light and not watching back. After a long run, I thought, I broke away from these things, so I looked back. The thing that I saw was surreal. I saw a ball pursuing me. It was very bright, as if made of a red-hot metal. It was about a meter in diameter. It had outgrowth on its surface and the whole thing resembled a hot red underwater mine. The thing was rolling on the ground, leaving traces on it. The last thing I remember, I screamed. I woke up in a hospital. The doctors told me the rest of what happened. That night I neither reached the career nor came back to the military base. Officers gave commands to organize a search group. There was no stone unturned left in the surrounding woods. They couldn't find me. They declared me a deserter and extended the searching area. In the evening of the second day of searching, a command were given to get back, because it was almost night already, when my dog Tiger suddenly rushed to the depths of forest. Next morning the search group took the trace of the dog with another dogs and found at first pieces of my clothes and then a bit farther Tiger lying on my consciousness, naked body. I was found in 40 kilometers from the military base in the opposite direction to the career. The pieces of my torn clothes were lying in equal distances from each other. There were stains of blood on it. I was barely breathing. Doctors said the dog saved me because if it hadn't spent the last night with me, warming my body, I would have been frozen to death. For some reason there was not a single hair left on my body. Doctors examined my body and didn't find anything unusual or wrong except the fact I lost all my hair. I don't know what happened there in the woods. Doctors tried to recover my memory of what happened with hypnotherapy, but it didn't give any results. I can't remember what happened there at all.
Live in or less W, Ohio. Out driving home in the country with a few friends. On a narrow, tree-lined road. Suddenly see a huge winged creature take off from a tree on the right-hand side as the branch shakes. I'm talking like 7-foot wingspan. Say whoa out loud and another friend says no fucking way you saw that too? Others in the car must have missed it. Get the hell out of there, drop off friends, and get home. TL, Dr. Mothman?
Okay, I got one. And post on from my phone, so green text is a luxury I may not be able to afford, but I will try. Be me 17 years old in Boisks around 1998-99ish. Doing low impact hiking / camping for a solid month and film on New Mexico been for this for so damn long, final I get it this.jpg. It's like a rite of passage for PPL and Boisks who take it seriously and get something out of it, aka pre-army training. We are in the middle of our trip on top of Iraqi Mesa, reported to be haunts, trippy as fuck, freak lightning storms with no reason, ball lightning in the middle of the night. Hike for hours to only travel 5 feet when you turn around to hike back kinda shit. Well, I can confirm some of this shit, not all. We get to the top and stop for lunch. Fuck yeah, shitty trail mix memories. Tastes like heaven though, 'cause it's the best food we have. I finish my lunch first and nature calls time to water the lawn. Gift. Excuse myself from the group. Our trail boss tells me not to go too far because trippy shit is trippy and really can happen. Happened to him way ever old far to make ends tough up. Bin. Suffice to say I did not believe at that time. I just thought he was making shit up / campfire stories and shit. Nope. I go about 40 yards out and find a thirsty looking shrub. Don't worry shrub bro, I got ya. Pissing on a shrub feels good when looking around enjoying the breeze on because I notice a guy about 10 yards away walking around like he is looking for something. He is looking at the ground real hard like he can't find his compass or something, kinda walking in a circle too. Why is he all dresses in black with back gloves and a black cowboy hat? I ask myself. How'd finish pissing. See him stop and then seemingly jump into a hole in the ground, decide to go investigate, zip up my pants and walk out to where he was. Look for the hole. No hole. Keep looking for a while, wandering around while making sure I know where my trail buddies are. Still no fucking hole. On my computer now. And continuing. Find the spot where I estimate his hole to have been. Nothing there but bare ground, everywhere else is vegetation, grass, shrubs and shit. Figure out it's probably a trapdoor or some shit that they use to jump out of and scare the shit out of hikers. Stomp on it a couple times. Nothing. Decide to stand on it to jump a few times to let them know I found it. Nothing. Yell down, hey, I know you're in there, come out and talk to me. Suddenly get a cold feeling all over. Wind from fucking nowhere, been windy all day, not even a breeze, sky goes dark like the sun is setting but no stars, no clouds, it's a clear sky, sunny day. Start feeling weak/sick, vision starts to blur like I'm up, pass out. Stumble off of the spot, everything snaps back to normal and I feel perfectly fine. The fuck was that? Calmly nope the fuck out of there and walk back to where my trail brothers are. I walk calmly for fear that if I move quickly it will know I am scared and come get me. I was kinda in shock at the whole event, okay? Go easy on me. Check time. Oh shit, it's been a full hour, they will be pissed as fuck. Oddly, it takes less time to get back than it took to get out to my piss bush. See them in a distance. They are not moving. WTF. Keep my eyes locked on them so as to notice any movement at all. Get closer, about 10ish yards from them, and they start to move as though someone had paused and then pressed play again like a movie on a computer. Trail boss notices me. Hey, that didn't take long. Did you decide to hold it until we get down to Mesa Base Camp? Sir, what are you talking about? I have been gone for and who shut your mouth, boy? Why yes sir. He takes me aside, and has me retell everything that happened to me while I was gone. He checks my watch for time difference. Full hour ahead, WTF. Did you mess with your watch, boy? No sir. Okay, well set it backward by 1 hour and don't tell anyone what happened until we get back to Tent City. Continued from above 2 posts. He tells me to not wander away from the group for the rest of the time we are at Philmont. Tells me that they know me now and may try to take me if I am alone. I listen this time. While at Uraka Base Camp we have more shit go down. During the night a bear wandered in and started wrecking people's tents and shit. Nobody was hurt. Turns out the whole area around the mesa is haunted as the fuck too. So much so that the guys at the Uraka Base Camp have to sleep in shifts so that they have patrols going at all times. Strangely, there is also a ghost couple that haunts around there keeping some of the bad shit away. They actually warn people off from dangers in the area. I met them the night of the bear attack. They poked their heads in me and my buddy's tent and told us to stay put for the rest of the night because there was a bear about. I asked a comp leader about it the next morning and he told me all about them. They apparently will notify the Uraka camp staff if shit's going down and will also talk to the campers. But everybody just thinks it's a weird as fuck dream when it happens. None of the comp staff talks about them, and few if any campers talk about them either. That's all I have for now.
B7 and picking mushrooms with my dad in rural Poland. Dad is next to me and is focused on the mushrooms. See a white or gray shape running around in front of me, maybe 200 meters out. It's just circling the area. Tell my dad. He turns pale, picks me up and hauls ass towards the car. Throws me into the driver's side and jumps in. We sit there watching the forest. The wolf walks out into the clearing we were just in. Not really spooky, but my dad and I never ventured far from the car after that.
This isn't really that spooky I guess, but I had a pretty weird feeling here, and it was very unsettling. Be me, 17, riding ATVs in southern West Virginia with my grandpa and his neighbor. Riding for miles down this road into the middle of fucking nowhere. We're now a solid hour and a half drive from any stores or anything you could even almost call civilization. Haven't passed any houses or anything for 30-40 minutes. Not really a road anymore, just a path in the woods that you couldn't even fit a car down. Notice barbed wire lining the edge of the path. We come to a clearing in the trees, and in this small opening there's a 10x10 camper that looks like it's been there for decades and barbed wire around the whole property. We keep going, that's not why we're here. After another 2-3 miles we start going uphill to the top of a mountain. All of a sudden I notice graves lining the road and we stop. My grandpa explains that 75 years ago there was a town out here that was abandoned after a mine collapse. All of graves are from the late 1800s and 1910s. Most of them are caved in because they just used wooden boxes for coffins. Several were too close to the edge of the cliff and the coffins had fallen out because of the side of the cliff eroding. Look down. 4 or 5 smashed coffins with no signs of bones, human remains anywhere around them. It turns out there are actually a bunch of these random creepy cemeteries in the woods by my grandpa's house. It's always really creepy when you stumble onto one while riding.
Walking through a conservation area. Me and Buddy didn't even bother to start on the trail, pure bushwhack. End up on some old as fuck campsites. Hear rustle in a bush. Hold up arm, Buddy stops. Survey area, spot 2 whitetail doing their slow cautious walk. Laughingslust.jpg we calm down. Keep moving along, 5 minutes later Buddy goes stop. We stop. Listen man. Hear a lone coyote in the distance but not too far. No big deal man, just a coyote. Wait a minute. Start trying to count the simultaneous howls. Come up with about 6. Well fuck, that's a pack. Time to go. Brisk walk out of the woods. Stop to light a smoke thinking fuck it. The howls, they meth. They must have been stalking the whitetail because now they're a few hundred meters from us on the opposite side of the berm. No time for cigarettes, time to run. Run all the way back to the car. Light up smoke, 2 guys on bicycles come flying off the trail. Y'all hear them coyotes? Fuck, they were close. Took my girlfriend back there last night for a quick hike, only heard 1 coyote.
Mom is staying in a rented house on her own that borders a forest. Dad is away working for a night. Goes to bed with the 2 cats. Door is open a bit. Dropping off to sleep. Hears some awful scream, moan from down the hallway. Cats sit bolt upright staring at the door. Mom shits herself. Eventually manages to go to sleep. Finds out weeks later that the landlord's father died in that house recently.
Be a month ago. Live in Colorado, on a border with National Forest. 20 acres, fuck yeah. Sitting out in the lot in front of my house. Fire pit, sitting around drinking and bullshitting with 2 best friends. About 3:30 a.m. Snap. WTF was that? Snap snap pop. Something is knocking down tree branches and it's getting louder. Have my wasp handy, one buddy is singing a 1911. Snapping continues down the ravine in front of the lot and suddenly stops. Out of nowhere huge ass log flies out of the woods and hits the window of my truck. AWWW hell nah. Mag dump into forest. Unarmed friend calls cops. Cops show up, find nothing. Go down in ravine next day. Enormous footprints, big ass branches laying on the ground. Oh shit son, there is a squatch in their woods.
Well, ain't all that, but it made me almost shit myself. Me and my dad usually go fishing on Mato Grosso, Brazil. Friend here. For those who don't know, Pantanal is in that region. Last year vacations as tradition dictates went there again. We usually stay at my dad friend's house and go deeper into the woods after some time, following a nearby river upstream and camping along the way. Take rifles, machetes and other hunting, fishing and safety apparatus. Region is extremely safe if you know your way around, but it still is prone to ounce. Is this the way to write it in English? Attacks. On the second day following the river through the woods we stop to fish in a sand bench. Tie the boat and start to fish. Get nothing all day but a few small fish. Decide to stay on camp the next day and hunt instead of fishing. Me and Dad go deeper into the forest and our friend stays taking care of camp. We see a catado, a kind of boar that is closer to a savage pig with overgrown teeth, lying down in a pile of dirt a few meters away. Me and Dad immediately climb a tree since catatos walk in groups and are very aggressive. After we climb we look around to locate the band. No other animals in sight. The animal that is in sight is still sleeping. Dad shoots it in the neck, missed the head. We think it died instantly since it didn't even react. That's weird, the little bastards are very resilient, maybe it hit the spine. After waiting a while to see its band shows up we climb down the tree with mace sprays in hand. They hate it and flee if it is sprayed near them. We approach the body and realize it was not sleeping. It was dead from the start, but since it had its back turned on us we couldn't see it. It has no eyes left or tongue, but the rest is intact, announced couldn't have done this. Maybe it was poisoned or sick. Notice that it isn't stinking for some reason. If the eyes had already gone it should stink at least a little. Suddenly an overwhelming stench coming with the wind blowing against us. First, what the actual fuck is this strong wind doing in the middle of relatively dense woods? Second, it smelled like blood that been on a frying pan and got burned. I've been on this fucking board long enough to know what that smell might mean, so I am already promptly shitting myself. Dad wants to see WTF it is. I say no. Dad starts walking anyway. Follow him, leaving a Hansel and Gretel trail behind of me that is composed of poop. We reach a small clearing and holy fuck. The catado friends are there. But at least they won't hurt us since half of their fucking bodies are missing. It looks like someone ripped them in half and took the hind legs, leaving only the front half, with no eyes or tongue. The trees surrounding the clearing are painted red. Dad says no animal did this. Son turns his back to the scene and starts walking rapidly. We return to camp and it's almost night. Dad tells his friend what we saw. A just laughs it off. The next day we decide to get back home and end the vacation short this time cause my father had a bad feeling. Nothing else happened while in the forest. We get to his friend's home and from there we go to our home. That happened about a year ago and the time is coming for us to return. I don't wanna go. Well, that is what happened to me, and if any part isn't clear because of my English just ask me and I'll explain.
TFW seen Bigfoot. Live in the boonies outside of Prattville, Alabama. We meet up and there is, friends GF. Niggas shoot guns in ghetto 20 feet from us. Weird, because we're in the middle of bumfuck nowhere, so who would be messing with his car? Just now when I said the chicken enclosure is in the forest partially. We find a nice clearing in the forest. I'm pretty sure that getting shot doesn't happen that often in the north. Make fire as big as possible while we hear constant growling. I mean all kind of winged bastard that produces eggs and meat. I realized that something stepped on a pile of branches 2 steps behind me that was heavy enough to break them. So Saturday family time. Mom, stepdad, brother and me decide that we could use some quality time. Porter suggests we go and watch movies. But there was an incident and now the village is mourning. They're having fun, I'm here to watch over them. We sit there watching the forest, the wolf walks out into the clearing we were just in. Dad is away working for night. DLDR, Eastern Euro Spook Forest location where?
This took place about 10 years ago at my dad's farm in Dillsboro, Indiana. About 45 minutes away from the Cincinnati. He has 39 acres of grown-over dairy land and the house he lives in was built in the 1790s. Neighbors tell stories that the home was a KKK meeting place sometime last century and they say there are bodies on the land. Be me walking from the back door of the house to my car to get my CD case. Pitch black outside except for a weak light next to the door. This part of summer at 11 p.m. the woods should have been alive with noise. Bugs, birds, etc. I get about halfway between the house, with my dad's dog following, and my car before I realize it is dead quiet, not even wind. Silence everywhere. I turned to look down at my dad's dog, Bummer, to see how he is reacting. Always listen to your animals, they can hear, smell more than you can. Bummer isn't there, never was. Bummer is sitting in the doorway to the house looking at me, ears up, completely alert. I heard that motherfucker walking next to me. But he had never left the doorway. I called to him but he refuses to come out of the house. He gets to his feet, whining and looking at me. This is starting to get too spooky. Silent when it should be loud, dog won't come out even though it's his favorite thing to be outside. Something is out here. I bolt for my car and get in. I turn on the headlights pointing back towards the house. Nothing there. I grab my CD case, turn off the headlights, slam the car door, then run like a little bitch back to the house. The whole way back it felt like something was chasing me. That feel of fingertips on the back of my neck. The dog is totally on guard. I have to grab his collar and pull him out of the way to shut the door. I asked my dad about it and he says, "Oh that. Don't worry about that. Won't talk about it any further." Too spooked to walk out later to leave by myself. WTF is in those woods, /x/.
Be making shine in the woods with my dad and granddad. Be 23. Dad and granddad have never been caught but know their shit and just do it because fuck you. Cleaning my pistol while mash is heating up waiting for Thumper. Dad went to the store to get us all coffee. Granddad is taking a nap in hammock. Putting pistol back together. Throw another log onto the pot because the fire was still smoking with the fire. Hear noise, have some tripwire set up. Check all the wire. Nothing. Go back to still. Hear something else, animals go quiet. Wake granddad up and kill the lights. He jumps up. We listen. Nothing. He tells me to check it out. Go look around. Shine light on bush. Eyes. Hear a grunt. Nope.jpg fuck me shit.mov. Bang bang bang. Bring hag back to granddad and cook it up. Have delicious hog and whiskey.
Be with Cadet Force. Out on exercises in the middle of nowhere. We're camping in a ruined farmhouse for the night. It's my watch, standing by the gate looking at the night. Suddenly notice a humanoid shadow moving across the foliage nearby. It's crouched over but pretty big. All of the cadets are kids and nowhere near that size. All the instructors are accounted for inside. It's so dark I can't quite be sure I've even seen it. Ask guy I'm on watch with if he saw it too. He just stands there staring wide-eyed and nods slightly. We don't have torches or anything and our express orders are not to move beyond the fence, no matter what. Call asking who goes there or some shit like that. Nothing responds but the shape moves further off into another group of trees. One of our instructors hears this and comes over, asks what's going on. We tell him and he sends us back inside, telling us we must be tired and our eyes are playing tricks on us. Next day we catch him inspecting something over by the trees and talking with another instructor. Hear them talking about how we're the only group that should out there. They get defensive when they notice us and tell us to go off and do some chores. Still to this day no idea what the fuck it was.
My extended family owns about 80 acres in super rural Wisconsin. Literally at the end of a dirt road. To put this in perspective, my uncles grew weed in the garden back in the 70s and nobody ever got busted. Shit is that isolated. I lived on the south end of this property, and about a half-mile north my cousin bought some of the land from the family trust and built a house. We'd always been close, bordering on brothers, so we hung out a ton. Campfires with booze when it was warm enough. On one such night we were having a campfire in his backyard, just me, my female, him, and a case or two of shitty beer. Now his backyard was about an acre clearing with woods on all sides except the side where his house was. Rough map attached for reference. It was early in the night, none of us but him had even finished a single beer. He goes inside to take a shit, going in through the back door that lead into his basement. A few minutes pass, and we see him come sprinting around the side of his house, left side in the map, somewhat near us, and into the woods. He called our names and giggled oddly, running back and forth along the whole top tree line in the map. Now, I'm already weirded out for a few reasons, some you can imagine, some that require background. Most obviously, that's just bizarre behavior, but also why the fuck would he come out the front door and go around? The thing that really had me was about a year prior he had been in a bad car accident and broke his back. To this day, he can only walk haltingly and carefully, running is out of the question, let alone the sprint he had managed. Anyway, we continued hearing him running back and forth giggling that weird giggle, and were yelling stuff to the effect of "the fuck are you doing?" at him right up to the moment we heard the basement door open and he came walking back to the fire the way we'd expect. We told him about it and he was like, "Huh, wasn't me, I was in there losing about 15 pounds. We ended up shrugging it off and continuing with the night. Nothing else weird happened. Had many other nights in the same place without anything more happening. Could he have pranked us theoretically? If he had a trick to keep up the noises after he snuck back to his house through the woods, sure, but practically only if you buy a guy faking a disability in front of me and his entire family for years to sell a one-off prank one night." And to be clear, there was no metallic, rotted stench.
Get ready for some creepy shit. True story that happened to me and a few friends during a vacation. Be 18. Friends and I decide to take a bro camping trip. Tommy, Michael bro 1, Lenny bro 2 and Darius bro 3. Darius mentions that his aunt has a vacation home out in Oxford, hasn't been used in 3 or so years. Gr8. Innawoods. We decide to go. Bro 2 decides to bring his girlfriend. Total cunt, trips fucking ruined. Gif. We suck it up, pack our bags and head out. Be 2.5 hours later, we arrive. Typical scary movie cabin, but the interior was super nice, fully furnished, the whole shebang. Day turns to night, and we decide to break out some drinks and a little beer pong. Bro 2's girlfriend stumbles to the bathroom. Pong continues. Suddenly, the most startling shriek fucks my eardrum from the bathroom. Cunt, ahem, let's call her Lacey, sprints from the hallway, her face is white as my ass. Says she saw a woman at the end of the hallway in a white sleeping gown. We're a little confused, but in the middle of bumfuck nowhere, so we're about to nope the fuck out. Out of nowhere, there's a knock at the door. There are maybe 3-4 other locals within 5-6 miles from the cabin. Who the fuck? Darius stumbles over to the door, opens it. It's a very strange, eerie-looking woman, absent of a white gown though. Completely expressionless, asks us if she could rest on the couch for a while and use the phone. We're a little hesitant. She mentions she knows Shannon, bro's aunt. We let out a sigh of relief, yet there's still something off, not to mention the woman Lacey claims to have seen. We decide to let the woman in. Claims she knows bro's aunt well, they were supposedly roommates in college. I'm paranoid as fuck and don't buy into that at all. I'm pretty much the only one shitting my pants about the current situation, and whatever the fuck Lacey saw. Darius and Lenny engage in some conversation with the woman. They ask her what her name is but she isn't talking much. I'm sort of pacing in the dining room in utter confusion. Aw shit. X, where the fuck is Michael? Everyone just forgot about him. Lenny mentions that he had to vomit and went to the bathroom. I peek my head around the corner towards the hallway. Bathroom door is closed with the light on, he has to be in there. Lenny and Darius walk toward the bathroom, I follow. They're knocking on the door, Michael is groaning inside, puking his brains out from the booze. Darius is texting his aunt about the woman that's on the couch. The only Shannon I knew was a friend of mine is grade school. Darius nonchalantly pulls me aside. Tells me I have to tell her to leave. No problem. I turn around. She's gone. Silateral alligator. Darius is freaking the fuck out. Lenny is nowhere to be found. Suddenly we hear water running from the kitchen. I run into the kitchen. Meanwhile, Darius's phone is ringing. Lenny is in the kitchen doing the fucking dishes. I yank his shirt and yell at him, asking where that lady went. His face is expressionless and white. He starts crying. Can we please leave? Please. I calm him down. Darius runs into the kitchen. Says he just got off the phone with his aunt who told us we should leave ASAP, she'd explain later. We pack our shit and get Michael out of the bathroom, he's passed out. Lacey is having a panic attack. Darius and Lenny run towards the basement to get the rest of their shit. I'm on the couch with Lacey trying to calm her down. She finally calms down, we regroup and head outside. We toss Michael in the back of my Jeep and buckle up. I turn on my headlights that shine on the window of the cabin to see the face of the woman with same expressionless face staring at me. The lights are out in the cabin so we can just make out her face and torso. She's wearing a white sleeping gown. Lacey starts crying and having another panic attack. I put it in reverse and get us the fuck out of there. I haven't talked to Lenny since that evening. I have no clue what he does or where he's been. I keep in contact with Darius while he works in Boston, but I'm still best friends with Michael to this day, who has literally no clue what the fuck happened, even after trying to tell him. We spoke with Darius's aunt who told us that 15 years ago, the same woman visited her cabin while she, Shannon, and her friends were vacationing there. She asked for the same thing, to rest on the couch and use the phone, but they refused to let her in.
Out camping. Been camping plenty of times before. Never had any incidents. Warm summer night. Clear skies. Decide to sleep on a cot under the stars. Stare at the sky as I drift off. The night sky is amazing when away from light pollution. Sometime in the very early morning, sun barely rising. Rolled onto my side. Feel a tickling on my back. Then something pushing me. Eyes open, panic setting in. Something wet brushed my back in quick, short movements. Freak out, roll off cot yelling, stumble to my feet. Large dark figure huffing and chuffing. Yell more. Thing sort of whine, roars back. Thing turns tail and hauls off. Wake up more as adrenaline wrecks my system. Realize it was a black bear. Fucking black bear snuck up on me to lick sweat off my back. I'll never sleep in the open air again.
B. Last Christmas. Driving to GF's house 6 hours away. Decide to leave at midnight, so we can surprise the family. B. Me, GF, and her sister and sister's BF in car. Driving along at around 3 a.m. Everyone is asleep except me. Middle of rural Texas, no towns or anything for miles. See car on side of road with hazards on. Decide to call the cops, just in case guy needs help. Right as I pull out my phone, I see some guy walking down the side of the road. Start slowing down to see if he needs help. Getting closer and see that this dude is at least 7 feet tall. Start feeling a bit antsy. Wake everyone up, just to help calm my nerves a bit. Getting closer and realize it's walking on all fours, almost like a skinny ape. GF yells at me to just keep going and call the police. Agree, but really want to get a better look at this thing. Down to about 5 miles per hour and about to pass by it. All of us look over and realize its face is human. It turns over to look at us. Its face is uncanny valley as fuck. Almost high robot looking. All of us scream and I slam my foot on the gas. It whips its 5 feet long arm at the car and clips the back. Speed the fuck out of there, see it galloping towards us. Lose him in about a minute, but the girls in the car are crying and me and another guy are both freaking out. Finally call the cops and tell them about what happened. Said they'd go check it out. Never found out what happened with that. Still scares me when I think about it. Take a completely different route to get there now, just to avoid that damn stretch of road. Really wish the damn cops had gotten back to me after they figured out what happened.
This happened to me a few years back, Western Oz. 14 years old, I think. Down south near Port on Range on holidays, staying in a cabin. My family was invited by the parents of my best friend, we all go. Naturally, a lot of walking around the area. We go hiking further southish, and up in thicker wood. My friend, my brother, and I usually trailblaze ahead of the others. We come to a small cave entrance ahead of the adults. I'm claustro as fuck, but my friend sticks his head in, can't see shit. No shit dickhead, your head's blocking the light, and you can't stick a torch in with you. We laugh, but then hear something coming from the cave, like skittering. We figure it's a possum or something when 2 ravens fly out, one right into and over my brother's face. We all laugh, continue on. My brother has a small red mark on his forehead, but no damage done. He's being a puss about it anyway. Later. Getting dark, parents back at the cabin. Friend, brother and I picking around in the small forest behind it. Chucking rocks, climbing trees, etc. We come into a clearing that stretches up the hill to another forest. It's dark, but we see something even blacker. There's a figure standing in the middle of the field. We all go quiet, this thing looks tall even from far away. Friend yells at him to fuck off. Fucking bogan but a mate anyway. Figure gets taller somehow, then stretches out his wings. This guy isn't a man anymore, we realize it's a giant bird thing. A giant fucking raven. My brother runs first, then I do, and then my friend, yelling after us, back into the forest between the clearing and the cabin. We run for a minute, then stop in the shadow of a big tree, thinking we lost it, him. Brother's crying, friend says we'll be safe in the tree cover. daftcunt.mp3. What the fuck, ravens live in forests. We argue like idiots until my brother screams, and we realize it's walking through the forest toward us. Not even flying, just walking, it swings back at its sides. We fucking bolt for it. All the way back to the cabin. Friend almost gets lost, but we end up getting back. We're in fucking tears, all of us. Parents either think we're crazy, or we saw an emu or something. Do emus even live around here? It takes an hour for us to calm down. We can't fall asleep. We can't look out a window, for fear that it'll be looking back in at us. Eventually, we left, and we didn't see it again. 20 now, still get creeped out by ravens and crows. I am never more going down south again.
Be 11-year-old me. Be at a Girl Scout camp in the Pine Barrens volunteering. Sleep overnight. Sleeping in army surplus tents, the kind with the flaps on all sides that can be rolled up. Getting ready to settle down for the night from campfire songs and whatnot. Couple of girls head off early to get stuff ready like lanterns and whatnot at the tent site. Ready to head off to our site to join them, see them running to us screaming with a flickering flashlight. Their flashlights spazzing the fuck out. Middle of the fucking Pine Barrens, goes pitch black when the sun goes down, so no light can be pretty scary. We walk back with them, young campers we're watching start crying and we do best to calm them down. Head counselors in charge make the stupid fucking decision to make us roll all tent flaps up, making the tents pretty much just tarps over our heads. Some bullshit about how the air will get too humid with everyone breathing in it and camp policy. Everyone starts to calm down. Weird fucking noises start happening in the distance. Only thing I've heard close to it is a Tasmanian devil getting pissed off that someone took its dinner. Sound gets louder and louder, we think prank is being pulled. Make some calls, everyone else in the camp is at the other end of the grounds a mile and a half away, they're hearing nothing. Everyone gathers in one tent. Sound gets louder and closer. Sleepless night, everyone crying from fear. Eventually the sounds fade off into the distance and the distressed ones stop. Wake up in the morning and start searching for evidence of what the hell happened. Find a deer carcass that's pretty badly mutilated, mostly in its vital organ area. It's been over a decade since then. I'm engaged to a guy that's into cryptids and likes to debunk a lot of things. He's picked my mind over the years about the incident. The obvious thought was Jersey Devil, but that's pretty improbable. After listening to many animal calls and looking at photos of kill sites, the most probable thing we can figure is it was a rabid bear and the dying deer. Whenever I hear a sound close to it, or a picture like the kill I saw, it's instant tears to the eyes fear. We'll never know exactly what it was, but I feel incredibly lucky that everyone made it out okay. The counselors in charge were fucking morons, and I'm surprised none of the parents sued.
I originally posted these in an OP thread, but this works too. Be me, 16, in mountains of PA. Be at summer camp for guys. Camp-wide manhunt, kids run, hide, and a few counselors seek. Me and 3 friends go to chill by the lake. Note, this is an extremely wooded area. There were paths around the camp and a large common area. The lake was surrounded by trees. We chill, throw rocks and that shit, talk about how dumb this kid game is. Hear movement in trees. Guy walks out, clothes tattered, pale as fuck, left arm looked like he was mauled, other he held a knife/machete/sword/thing. We think it's a counselor. Oh, you got us, now let us chill. Walks towards us. Forgot about this, friend who was there just reminded me, guy's arm was bleeding, but the blood never hit the ground. We all got up, prepping to nope out of there. Path blocked by this thing. Big friend runs and tackles the dude. We run out of there. We book it out of there to the common area. Camp loudspeakers play taps, which means get to the common area regardless of what's happening. Head count. All campers head to bunks, counselors to stay up and do rounds. Usually 1 counselor for the entire camp, never more than 3, suddenly it's all eyes all night. My cabin was by the lake, just a minute past it really. Walking by lake path. MFW, there's no blood. My friends' faces when there's no blood. Everyone's faces when no outdoor activities for the next day. The owner's 2 dogs disappear. Same camp. Week later, same 3 dudes chilling by the lake because we're retarded like that. Lake has a small island in the middle that no one goes on. Around 7 p.m., so still light to shout, everyone else doing camp shit. See trees on the island moving a bit. Kinda far away, but looks like a grayish deer on 2 legs is walking around. Friend pulls out camera, zooms in on it, goes white. This guy is black and he went paler than my Russian ass. Its left arm looks beat up. Nope shigadigi.pdf.
Be me when I'm 10, 18 years ago. Out running around the neighborhood. There's a playground in the wooded area by the houses that all the kids played at. Playing one day on the playground when my friends show up. Hide and seek negroids. Loser kid is the first to find and we all hide as usual. Ain't never gonna catch me hidden up in a tree. Run a good bit into the woods and find a good tree to climb up. Up in tree feeling like a G cause I'm so high up, I just feel invisible to the kids below. Spend some time up there seeing the other kids scurrying about, kinda in awe at how much I can see and them all totally unaware of where I am. Looking around as I'm getting a little bored up here and double take as my eyes pan to my left, deeper into the woods. Some black kid in a tree about 50 feet away just doing the same thing as me, just hiding up there. Kid looks our age but I don't know him, There are like 20 of us playing at this point, and it's a playground that like 10 courts of our townhomes use, so I can't know everyone, right? Don't think anything of it and just give him the SHHHHHH fingers sign like he's gonna rat our spot out or something. Kid's just looking at me. No SHHHHH sign back, no acknowledgement, nothing. I spend the rest of the time keeping my eyes on him, since at this point him staring at me was weird. Spend another spell up there just motionless, looking at this black kid looking at me until I just decide I'm done with this game. Climb down tree, get caught by the lookers halfway down. Don't give away black kid's spot since I don't even know his name, and hopefully he'll be last found and have to seek first next round and we can leave him in the woods or something. We weren't the nicest kids, and the woods aren't too bad honestly. They all tell me I have to seek since I was the last one found, and they make climbing trees that high off limits because it took so long to find me. It's not fair to me seeing as I'm not the last one found. Tell friends about how I shouldn't be it and that kid should be. Point to the tree but way up where he was. No one fucking there. We're still at the base of my tree, no one has climbed down it. They make fun of me for not wanting to be it, the kid that cries time out when about to be tagged type shit. It's dark enough that the streetlights are on the road to the playground part of the woods, and I use that as an excuse to leave. We all go to my neighbors and play Zombies Ate My Neighbors for the rest of the night, typically getting stuck when the giant babies show up. Never bring up the black kid again, and moved from there when I was 12. To this day nothing about that kid makes any sense. There was no way down his tree like there was mine. Still live in the area and have a friend that still lives there. Since I moved, the playground portion has burnt down twice, and there are stories of kids' underwear being found in dead trees and shit. It was well manicured when I was a kid, supposedly it's a real shitty place now.
I got one. Be me, out in the rural ass end of western New York. Close enough to a little suburb to be civilized and not totally redneck. Got two things at my way, farmlands and forests, usually right on top of each other. Huge ass field to the east of my house, thickish forests both in front of and behind it to the north and south. Stay up late during my high school years, 2 to 3 a.m. Parents are deep sleepers. One night I hear some god-awful noise in the woods behind my house. Cross between an angry howl and the most guttural, primal deep scream any normal animal could make. Most we get out here in the way of big animals is coyotes. We've had exactly one bear sighting in the last 5 years. So fuck was noise? Freak the hell out quietly, don't want to wake the rents. Don't sleep all night, absolutely dead at school following day. 2 days after fuck one noise, your dad say something about a missing person in the area. The next week they find a human arm in the woods. Fast forward a year or so. Up late again, Friday night, watching anime and shit. Hear fuck one noise again. Fuck that shit. Go downstairs and wake dad, tell him what I heard and what happened last time I heard it. He tries to brush it off, but I insist he calls the police or something. Hear gunshots from the woods. Both of us nope the fuck out. He calls police, tells them about weird animal sound and gunshots. They say there's not much that can be done. They'll send someone out as soon as they can though. No school next day, so I'm home when cops stop by. They ask me and my dad a few questions. Go out in woods to look around. We follow. Meat smell a half-mile or so in. Not rotten, smells fresh. Officer friendly spots something off in a clearing off the trail. Blood smears on trees, what looks like a chewed up arm. In the dead center of the clearing there's a head. Human. Pretty cleanly severed. With a 9mm pistol jammed in its mouth. Fuck that shit. Bolt back to the house. We don't let our pets outside anymore.
My house is surrounded by woods. I live in rural Alabama, so we don't have large animals besides deer. For the longest time I used to hear animals screaming in pain or moaning some nights. Nothing I've ever heard before. It was loud, and I would find blood and disturbed ground near my house occasionally. Then I started seeing large shadows in the trees. I told myself to stop overthinking it. One night I heard the screaming, very close to my house. I grabbed my shotgun and slowly walked outside. I saw two shadows dart into the woods. The next day I found a trail of blood. I followed it about half a mile into the woods until it stopped at the large dying stump. It had been hollowed out by something with claws. I felt like something was watching me. Inside was covered in blood, still kinda wet. Pretty freaked out I left. One night not too long after I saw a light in the woods. I got my gun and lantern and ran out into the woods. Without realizing it, I came to the stump. It was on fire. Totally engulfed. That's when I heard something circling me. I ran back home in terror, too afraid to look behind me or to put out the fire. The noises stopped. I never went back out there but always wondered what was fighting what and which one survived, let alone could start a fire.
B1718. Four-wheeling with a friend at a river camp. Houses on stilts and shit. Golf carts and drunk people. I'm riding on the back. Way out on the back roads away from the camps. Path starts getting kind of dark but friend keeps going. Starts to slow down. Tall-ass dude, maybe 7-8 tall ahead. Covered in hair. Pointy ears. Kind of wolf-like. Screaming bloody murder, telling us to stop and that he needs help. Nope the fuck out and turn around, almost flipping the ATV in the process. Get the fuck back and hear a bunch of other weird stories. Some weird floating craft on the river. Some other chicks saw the same dude. I hate the wood.
My uncle owns a second house in an obscure part of Oregon. Supposedly, there's an Indian burial ground of sorts on the property. Keep in mind, he owns about 100 acres or so. He told me that there used to be an old military outpost on the property in the late 1800s. Shit went bad between the military and local tribes. There was a massacre of sorts, and while I don't remember all the details surrounding it, the military dumped all the Indian bodies in a mass grave. I have no way of confirming or denying it because every time someone has tried to look for the mass grave, nothing is found. The massacre itself is well documented, however. At night, his property becomes oppressive as hell. Like something is deliberately trying to make you feel sad/afraid/angry all at once. Weird shit.
Halloween 2 years ago. Driving to BF's house 4 hours away. Leave at 1 a.m. since we were out partying all day. Me, girlfriend and 2 friends in the car. Driving along at around 3 a.m. They're all asleep. No towns or signs of life, just empty woodlands. See car on side of road with hazards on. Start slowing down to see if he needs help. No one is there. Wake everyone up and we get out to investigate together. We all get out. Hear a loud crash behind us. There is some weird creature stalking around near our car. We all freeze and hide behind the car with hazard lights. The light on the inside of the car is on, but the car is empty. Hear the creature making this clicking sound with its mouth. We freak out, all borderline crying. It looks about the size of a large male, think bulky football player, but it has a more lanky, stalking appearance with long arms and legs. Hunched over. Can barely make out its face, but something like pig related was sort of discernible. We sit behind this car for what feels like an hour. All of a sudden it makes this loud screaming sound. All of us scream and start freaking out. It runs off into the woods. We're all crying. I'm a grown-ass man brought to tears from this sound. After panicking a bit we run to the car, get in and drive. Finally reach town. Get out at gas station to have a look. Check the outside of the front passenger's door. Man door hand hook car door. MFW. We never go that route again.
This one comes from a friend. Befriending a tree with night vision goggles. Looking around, checking out how well they work. See something about 100 feet away from tree stand. Crawling on all fours. Small, extremely humanoid, besides no nose and giant mouth. Stops and looks at him. Opens and closes mouth. Keeps looking at him while it crawls away. If anyone asks, this was in Parrish, Florida.
B15 and 04. In family of 5. Live in rural southwest Queensland, Australia. Tons of strange abnormal shit out there. Not much is noted due to miners and roo shooters not giving a fuck. One major thing everybody oftenly saw is the lights that hang around in the bush. Father, roo shooter, explained to me on a shooting trip one night that other shooters use them as guides to find the road if they are lost. Lights always go onto roads, speed along faster than the trucks, then disappear back into the bush. Family has to go to Toowoomba for a couple of days. Eldest sibling stayed home while me sister and parents went to Toowoomba. On the trip back home, we left a little too late in the afternoon and parents had to stop somewhere along the side of the road for a rest. Heavy scrub, not much sky visible, very dark. Rang the eldest sibling and explained we'll be about 20 minutes late because of rest. I couldn't ever sleep in cars, so I just sat awake. Sister was half asleep against her side's window. Weird buzzing, but don't think much of it, probably a fly stuck in the car again. 20 minutes later, according to the watch and car clock, we start going again. Phone is somehow flat, blame it on cheap make. Get home. Sibling is spazzing the fuck out, asks us where the hell were we. WTF you talking about? Every clock at home says we are 4 hours late. Question mark. Sister says she saw lights zooming overhead past us, but didn't mention it due to being half asleep.
The Cherokee believed there were little people running around underground all over North America. Very secretive cryptid a la Homo floresiensis, only even smaller. Someone I know heard this from his father, who worked in some mines in West Virginia for Dow Chemical Company back in the 50s. The locals often spoke of discovering passages in coal mines that looked like they were cut for little people to run through. Every once in a while somebody even reported seeing one of these little people coming or going. Some miners said that after blasting they had sometimes found what were hairless monkeys with strangely human features in the rubble, and the company had told them to keep it under their hat out of fear that the environmentalists etc. would have shut them down and they would never be permitted to mine there again.
Oh, this just happened yesterday. Live in rural Rhode Island next to the village's school on my grandparents' old farm. There's all sorts of weird shit out in the woods, and nobody is allowed to go deep because of the reservoir. Coming home from a walk, cut through school property. They own a plot of woods where they build a little pilgrim village for the kids every year. Some of the junk there has been there since I was a little kid. Walk through the paths, end up going off it to take a shortcut into our land. See a square area walled off by old stones in the middle of the woods. Go to check it out, have to spit but decide not to for some reason. Look down. I'm standing in an old graveyard. Nope out and head home. My cousins wakes up as I come in, tells me she was actually just there a little bit ago.
Went camping in Wales, Florida once as a kid. Big boys group, out in bumfuck nowhere in seas of grass and trees. Be playing hide and seek. I go up into a tree like everyone else cause that is the only real way to hid here. 20 minutes pass. Not the most popular guy, wouldn't be the first time they left me behind to do something else. Screw it, I'll go down and back to camp. Branch breaks on the climb down and I fall maybe 10 feet to the ground. Pass out like a bitch. Wake in the camp next to fire. They found me just outside of the tent line passed out, assumed I dehydrated. Think one of the other came to get me. They were all accounted for at dinner for the last 10 minutes at least. I fell out of a tree like half a mile away. Everything seems fine if a bit sore. Except my wrist is bruised like someone dragged me by it.
Posted this in another thread. It's sorta innawoods related. Am driving my family through the middle of nowhere. Very misty night and cloudy, so no stars. Country road with no lights. Dad sitting next to me, talking to Mom in the back. Siblings are asleep in the back as well. See someone walking off to the side of the road a ways down. Sorta weird for it being so late. But I figure that is just the city boy in me speaking. Think nothing of it past that. As we get closer to the person. Suddenly a flash of light in front of the car. Blindingly bright, to the point where I saw nothing but a greenish-white light for a solid 3-4 seconds. All electronics go out. Engine is still going. But headlights, AC, dashboard, radio, head unit, etc. are gone. For her a car doesn't run without electricity. I know. Mom breaks out praying. Absolutely no lights, so I start slowing down to stop. Dad says keep going. What, Dad? Wav. The road was dead straight, so I just kept going. About 2 minutes later all the electronics started turning on slowly. The trip was pretty much uneventful after that.
Be camping Australia. 2 girls 2 guys. 8 to 9 p.m. Lovely, cool night. Whole group rode bikes to the camp. Whole group at small campsite. Making dinner. Hear something rustle in the bushes. Whole group shits themselves. One girl sees some guy wearing a generic mask. Screams, we shout and threaten them. We look around us, more people in the same mask. Other guy grabs cooking soup and throws it onto one of the masked people who lets out an eerie screech. Masked people begin to slowly close on us. We all grab our bikes and go. Cycle to the nearest house we can find. Alert authorities the next morning. We go back to the campsite with them. Nothing but ash from a fire. Never found out what happened.
Be me. 13 years old. Have friend. Let's call him James. James has an older brother named Isaac. Be staying the night at James's house. His dad is having a campfire. Tells us to go look in the woods for firewood. It's dark and sort of creepy. Tough it out. Trying to be cool, we decide to stop for a smoke. Standing there talking and it gets quiet. As it gets quiet we hear branches breaking. Like 20 feet away. Nope. JPEG. Fucking book it out of the woods. We didn't tell anyone. We decide an hour later to go back down there. Looking around with flashlight. About 20 minutes passed and we say fuck it and leave. As we leave we hear Isaac say look. Me and James turn around and see a skinny, human-like figure. Had the most fucked up glowing eyes in the world. We haul ass up to house. Never speak about it to anyone. I have the story of what went down the next night if you guys want me to continue.
Be me. Straight edge as fuck, don't ever smoke or drink. Go to the woods, nothing happens. Ever. Come back from a satisfying hike with the words GTFO loser nerd in blood on my car. Small baggie off weed near my tire with another note with your pussy, nerd. Smoke up for the first time ever, burning that good kush. Enjoy myself, go back to the woods next week to smoke again. See a shadowy humanoid figure in the tree line as it gets dark, it gives me a thumbs up and then does the jerking off motion. Every time I go into the woods something spooky happens. TDRL skinwalkers are the college frat boys of the forest, love messing with people and don't like wet blankets. If you want to see them you have to party or they want to come hang out.
Be 7 years ago. Just turned 18. Turn it in December. For Christmas we travel to family in Bosnia, Eastern Europe, Balkan. Entire country is mountainous. We stay after Christmas and New Year and go to a mountain cabin. It's used by some other relatives so they are already there. I'm the oldest of the children and I've just turned 18 so they decide to take me hunting with them. As I soon find out there isn't much to hunt there, but they simply use it as an excuse to get away from wives and children. I'm thankful to them to be honest. It's relatively big woods, big for a relatively small country. We arm ourselves with World War II weapons. bunch of them stashed in the cabin's basement by joint forces of all partisans, Wehrmacht soldiers and SS men from family had all of them in my family, got together great somehow after the war. Guns were kept clean by them and by other relatives so work perfectly. Shot from the guns only few times before this. We take tents, supplies and go in the woods. 4 of us. Dad. Me. Mother's brother. Mother's cousin. We'll stay there 3 days. Get lost in the woods. First 2 days do nothing but shoot at birds, drink beer that we brought with us. Also we made a barbecue. The last night before heading back my dad opens fire towards something. He says he saw a deer. Unlikely since even though it's a large forest as I mentioned already, there isn't much wildlife there. Dark falls relatively early in the winter there. 1630. Everybody is already inside of tents. I stay out by the fire. I see the deer. Grab the rifle. Fire at it. It lets the blood freezing roar. Get scared as shit. Dad and others get out of the tent. I say I shot something. They say it's probably a bear or something because of the noise. They get their guns. They want to hunt it down so it doesn't come back at us. Not sure if it will, but I don't complain. Uncle actually brought that German assault rifle with us. We go after it. Find a blood trail and footprints. None of them expert hunters so they have no idea what is it. We follow it for a half an hour but a snowstorm comes and we decide to return to tents. For the whole night we were hearing all kinds of noises around the tent. Very weird growling. The wind is blowing hard so it has to be loud in order for us to hear it. My dad says it's best that we don't do anything since if it's a bear it will be hard for us to kill it. We expect for the uncle to shoot it with his machine gun. He doesn't. Get very little sleep. Next morning we find more blood around the tents. Whatever is it, it has a lot of blood in it. We decide to go back. Cabin is only 5 kilometers away from us. After an hour of walking we hear the noise again. We get the weapons ready. It follows us the whole time but we can't see anything. Fire several times into the air to try and scare it but it doesn't work. Mom's cousin falls down and hurts his ankle. As we were trying to get him I noticed something moving in the fog. It's giant. I tell my dad. He gets the gun. Uncle gets his gun. Fire at it. It growls again as it's hit. By now we know it's not a bear since it's far too big. It takes us longer to get back with an injured guy. We come to the edge of the woods and camping which is there by the nightfall. Hear the growling only few times again. We tell the women what happened. They say it's a bear probably. It is the only rational explanation. Since cousin hurt his ankle pretty bad we decide to go back the next day. Sleep well that night. Next morning we find more footprints and a bit of blood. We get the hell out of there. I am dad to tell his story to the partisan grandfather. He says that there were few stories about a giant bears during the World War II in his time in the woods. He says that they would sometimes find German outposts deserted and some German soldiers tore up. He also said that he heard similar stories from one of the SS relatives.
Note first, this photo wasn't taken by me, we didn't really bring any technology for this trip. The picture is probably somewhere near where we did it. The story probably isn't too spooky either, sorry. 2006. B24. Live in Bulgaria. Decide to go camping with some friends. Pick out southwestern Bulgaria as the desired location, huge forest areas. Borders to different countries that aren't marked or patrolled. Not really bringing any technology with us, but lots of food. The first few days are pretty cool, basically looking for the best spot we can find ATM. Mainly relying on rations, but we did catch a few fish from a small stream. Laugh a lot, talking about good times and drinking. Third day, we make it to some hills which look over this mountainside in a valley, near a small stream. Very beautiful place, so we stick around, set up camp. We plan on staying here for 5 days or something. Another day goes by, we spend a lot of it bathing and playing P&P with some D6s and a homemade system. In the night we chill in the grass, chat and draw a bit. Hear something by the stream nearby, like a bit down the hill and past some bushes. There's brown bears in the area, so we assume they might be trying to find fish or something. We pull back to the top of the hill, then yell a bit to keep them from wandering up here. The thing books it out of here loudly, which seems a bit odd. Shrug it off as nothing. We don't really have trash by out campsite, so we should be set. Night goes by quietly, clear sky and everything. Next morning we bury the food we have a bit under the ground in the outer perimeter of the campsite, and we decide to go explore a bit. Mainly bring some water and some fruits. In the direction we head it mainly seems like some more woodlands, but not dense enough for us to be unable to leave clear marks of our path. I remember this story pretty well because I wrote it down when we got home. I used to keep a diary to keep track of my life. Between work and friends, the days had a tendency to flow by me without me noticing, which at some point began to freak me a bit out. Anyways. The trees here are pretty tall too. We see some sleeping bats, which was pretty interesting. Unfortunately we woke them up and they all flew away. Find some blueberries, too. Around 12, so we sit down and grab a drink and eat the berries we found, talk a bit about life. One of the guys, Milan, says he thinks we should be careful if there's bears around. He doesn't like it too much. Another friend jokes that it probably wasn't bears. We chuckle a bit but eventually agree to stay together and focus on not having food laying around and stuff, not like we did before. Continue onwards. The place gets really hilly for a bit, the forest thins out, trees are a bit shorter, younger. After walking around for a bit we reach a more flat area, still with short trees. There's a super downtrodden graveyard here, no road or any paths. Most of the names are unrecognizable. EVD, Oki, Ia Lazarov, a lovely mother and wife. Silva Lazarov, a kind and beloved daughter. 3 of the gravestones, one is pretty much completely broken, the other 2 only has a few letters readable. Look around for a bit, we all think it is pretty cool, but one of the girls and me find it a bit unsettling, too. Very close by, there's a small spot with no trees. Move the leaves around a bit, find some spots of stone. Assume it's a building foundation or something. Dig around for half an hour. It's about time we go back. Still feel a bit uncomfortable, like the feeling of being watched. We head back over the hills with ease. When we reach the more foresty area we follow the red snares we've been hanging in the trees. Don't see as many animals or birds anymore. Still a few here and there. Hear rustling again. Bears? Someone immediately asks. One of the girls yell for it to basically fuck off. As soon as she does it books it again. It still makes a lot of noise just by running. Hard to identify if it's a bear or a deer. When we reached the small collection of berry bushes, which was still rich with berries, it was completely cleaned off. Silva jokes that it's not happy that we stole its berries. I laugh a bit, then realize how uncomfortable everyone else is about it. Perhaps I was just coping with it, I'm still not really sure. A few of the red threads have been pulled down, those who hung on thing branches mainly. The guy who had been doing it, Milan, says they usually fell down because of the wind if he hadn't tied it tightly enough. We know it's just bullshit. I do anyways. The rest of the trip back was pretty tranquil, I feel a lot more at ease, seems like the others did too. The camp was still alright, and it's pretty much getting dark, so we light a fire and prepare some rations and stuff. The buried food crates were fine. Anyways, that's pretty much how far the spooks went. We were a bit uneasy and I'm sure most of the others had problems sleeping like I did. We also kept watch the next day, but nothing happened. Other than that, the rest of the trip was pretty nice. We went hiking after packing our stuff and then headed home. The other girl drew a pretty good sketch from the top of the small mountain, and my barbarian was the first character in our plug-and-play campaign to die that day. R.I.P. Thorfar Steppy. Once again sorry that the story isn't very spooks.
Green as grass strip friend here. I've got one good in a wood story, I guess. It's me compared to all of you masters. So I'm not gonna green text this because I find typing it out easier. So, this happened in my freshman year. My best friends have been my best friends since we were little. We grew up together. We train together, fight together, play together. We're like the Three Musketeers. For the sake of their privacy, we'll call them by their aliases, Sky and Anna. So, Sky, Anna and I, to celebrate passing freshman year, surviving our first year in high school, decided to do something fun. We had never been camping, and Sky's uncle, let's call him Greg, is a pretty badass guy. He is the definition of the most interesting man in the world. He decided to take us camping, which I was thankful for. I knew we were safe as long as he was there. He brought 2 bows, a rifle and a revolver. I don't know the specifics of each weapon, sorry, to hunt some. I was okay with a bow, and I know my way around a rifle and pistol better than Anna and Sky do. We get to the campsite, which is in the fucking swamps here in Florida. It's muggy, hot as fuck, wet, and generally a shitty day to be outside. But Greg, being Greg, revels in it. He's carrying most of the gear and having the time of his fucking life. We set up camp in a dry spot, and Greg sets up sound traps in case skaters or alums decided to drop by. Everything is set up and night starts to fall, things get cool. We set up a fire and I get shit tired, so I head to bed early, along with Sky. Anna and Greg are talking, which sounds like fucking ASMR through the tent walls. They were damn thick. Sky and I drift off when we're waken up by what sounds like a tearing sound. I look up and something is digging into the tent, like a spike or something long and pointy. Eyebrow wiggle. It takes a moment for me to realize something is trying to get in, but when I do I flip my fucking shit. I kick Sky in the face while scrambling out of the tent screaming bloody murder, and while he's laying in the tent clutching his bleeding nose I get Greg, and Greg gets his gun. Greg circles the tent all tactical and surprise, like every good horror trope, there's nothing there. I'm legitimately shocked, because something spiky was pressing up against the fucking tent. Greg plays it off as an animal, which I called bullshit on. It was a big ass spike, and he tells me to go back to sleep. I do, and the night goes well. The fire gets put out and Greg and Anna head off to bed a bit later. We wake up, we don't find our campsite destroyed, we don't smell iron, there aren't dead animals everywhere, we wake up to a normal campsite. Though, shit hits the fan later. We go shooting cans and shit. I impress everyone with my mediocrity with a bow, and the day seems like it's going to be great. Up until the point where we hear a loud scream. Greg says it's possibly a fox, but he doesn't know any that should live in this area. We go looking and we don't find it. The screams continue but get more distant each hour. Mating season, eh? It was at this point we do run across a mutilated animal carcass, though it didn't look like a gator kill. A gator wouldn't have gone this far into land for a fucking possum. The possum is eviscerated, dead as dead can be. Its eyes are poked out, as if someone took their thumbs and shoved them into the eye sockets. Greg shakes his head and we continue, playing it off as once again, an animal. We get back to the campsite from where we were shooting, walking, and find that certain food items are missing. Nothing like the bags of chips or anything, but shit like the meat we plan to put into a stew or cook up. Greg plays it off as an animal. Though it wasn't like it was torn from the boxes and coolers, more like a human did it. Methodically opening everything up, then putting it back into place once it was done. I didn't like the vibe this place was giving me at the moment, so I told Greg. He said we'd leave tomorrow morning, at the crack of dawn. It fucking storms that night, and that night was when things really just climaxed. We're sleeping, and while we are, something tears into the fucking tent. Like, takes out almost an entire wall of the tent in one fell swoop. Greg hits his feet faster than anyone and fucking goes in swinging. Skyana and I all get up and flood out of the tent in the opposite direction. Greg comes around the side unscathed. What was that, you guys? We all tell him we don't know, and as we're trying to figure this shit out, something leaps out from our fucking cooler. It was long and on all fours. Greg ushers us into the car, grabbing the guns and setting them next to him in the front seat. As we're fucking peeling out of there, Greg checks the rear view mirror and there's something after the car. This is a very vague description of it, as I don't remember the situation all too well. I tried to repress the memory for a while, then said fuck it. It was moving on all fours, had really pale skin. It looked like its head was covered in a skull. Like an animal skull. I think a deer skull. And it had long ass fucking claws. Eventually it tires out or something, because it just stops in the middle of the pseudo road and stares at us. We get back into civilization, and eventually back to our hometown and just crash. We speculate to this day as to what it was. Some insane hobo with crazy long nails? A monster? Fuck if I know.
Sorry, can't greentext on cell. Just imagine it's green. B14. Go on portage trip in Algonquin Park with best friend, his mom and stepdad. Parents set up tent 50 meters away. Fun.jpg. Go to bed. Hear but stepdad railing his mom. She be moaning loud. Wow bro, Dave, stepdad, is giving it to her good. Fuck you and on ... Seriously fuck you. I'm a jack off to this memory when we get home. Fu q I hate you. Minus 15 minutes pass. Dave busted a nut. They start up again. Shit man, at least Dave is giving your mom some pleasure. I hate you so much. Amidst the fucking sounds we hear heavy breathing outside of our tent. WTF? I left BB rifle and a spring bottle on camping table. Hear clicks like someone loading BB rifle. Buddy starts screaming, Dave! 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 They hear the rattling of a spring bottle as it seems to take off in the woods. WTF? Dave tells us to chill, it was probably just a raccoon stealing the spring bottle, animals do that shit. Next morning the three boys go hiking. Find a spring bottle and BB rifle ditched about 200 meters from camp. A WTF kind of raccoon can carry a bottle of aspirin and a rifle? It was a BB but same size as normal rifle. After hike, Dave and Buddy's mom say we're heading home. We were supposed to camp another 3 nights. It was probably just another person being a perv, but we didn't see a single person the whole time being so deep in the woods. Even if it was a person, it's creepy as fuck.
This thread is probably dead, but I'll post. Me and 3 friends go fishing at the lake. Just chillin' on the dock bullshitting with our lines in. All of a sudden the line on my friend's rod starts running like it's about to catch on fire. He starts to fight it. Keep in mind this lake is only 12 feet at its deepest part. Must be a big one, he said. I've never seen him struggle this much with a fish. We all are genuinely confused because there is fucking nothing in this lake that could be this strong. It starts to dry down. He thinks it's tired. Starts to reel in. Fucking pole disappears out of his hands, it was snatched so fast. He ain't no bitch nigga either, the strongest guy I know. Hands are bright red with trace amounts of blood. We all just sit there staring in disbelief. Dude, you okay? Speechless. Start to feel dock vibrating violently. Nope, in a path, fuck out of there. Driving away as fast as possible, everyone is freaked. Silent ride back to my cabin. We came back the next morning to find the waterline unusually low for that time. Also there was this bad smell in the air, like horribly bad. Never fished there again. No one likes to talk about it.
Not in the woods, but creepiest experience I've had, hopefully the last. Live by large river that runs under freeway ramps. Out on late night cycle, like 12:01 in the morning. No lights on my bike. Getting near shit part of town, no knife or anything, stupid I know. Approaching end of river, decide to cut across dirt lot to get to road. Start crossing lot which is adjacent to bridge above, but I'm not under the bridge, just trotting alongside it. Almost back to road, nearing dark corner of underbridge rapidin. Can't see shit under there, pitch black. Almost to road, looking over at dark area from the side as there's light behind it now and I can see silhouettes. See normal looking guy standing looking at river. Tons of bums in this area, so whatever, keep moving and don't freak out yet. It's a steep hill back up to road, prepare to speed up. Look over last time. Bum looks at me and his neck elongates into a fucking giraffe looking thing. I'm normally pretty calm out at night, never freak or see things that aren't there. Nope, the fuck back the way I came, as I've now lost all speed and can get back faster the long way. Look back and it's just standing there swaying. Get on road but in bad area, pedal my fucking legs off and pray to God this homeless anamorph isn't galloping at me. Never go that far again, never ride at midnight again.
Well, hopefully I get this in before 404. This happened a few years back in Groton, Vermont. A place that me and my friend go to almost every other weekend when we can help it for the last 12 years. In Groton, VT Bro's uncle owns about 140 acres of land. Go camping all the time, used to go with him, now since older have gone just us for a long time. One of the times we actually have a group of brothers go. Unusual cause they're in a woods pussies, but was still cool to chill with buds. They weren't prepared for how much in the woods we actually were. When his uncle bought the land, there was a busted up as fuck camper parked there that we would shoot at for lol. Was actually pretty useful cause me and bro, who go up a lot, would cut up extra firewood and leave it in the trailer so we'd have dry wood for winter trips etc. First night was fun, passed out not long after got there since we got up there around 1 AM. Next morning do our hikes and shit, love life. Then we get back and I'm just getting the fire going again when I hear, "Guys, fucking look at this. What the fuck?" We rush over, and in the camper, right in the fucking doorway is a fucking cow's head. Couldn't have been more than a few days old. Barely if at all decomposed. There are farms everywhere in VT, but the nearest farm from where we were, was easily a 30-minute drive. We are far in the fucking woods here, thick ass woods. Grab guns and just start to patrol the area a bit, only me and main bro have guns. The others are basically like dogs hiding between our legs. Everyone dead silent for a long ass time, listening. I convince everyone that however it got there, the person was gone. No body, just a cow's head. Me and main bro go for a walk down this usual pathway we take that if you take for about 5 miles you end up at this huge clearing with the power lines. Be about 15 minutes down the path, a path we know very well by now. We see this big ass tree and stones implanted in the ground like steps. We look at each other like WTF because we just took this same trail last month because deer are easy to find at night in that clearing. We follow the path and it circles around the tree and we see a fucking chair on the backside of the tree. Stare at it for a while, the chair doesn't look unusual but the stones put in the ground around it looks like someone for some reason worshipped this fucking chair. Notice it's getting to be that blue hour right before it's dark. Bro says he has sudden put in his stomach feeling. I'm not sold on leaving this spot yet. I'm fucking retarded. It gets dark fucking quick and when you're that deep in the woods there's no light at all. Ear group back at camp scream fucking bloody murder. Me and bros start booking it, kicking ourselves for not staying with them and looking around instead. We get back to camp with guns up and looking around calling our bros names. All of them around the camp are a little out of our sight still looking ahead. They get spooked as fuck since it looks like we are getting ready to shoot them. We ask if they are alright, we heard them scream. The look of dread on their faces I'll never forget. Pale and gaunt as fuck. No one screamed. They didn't even hear screams. Me and main bro heard what sounded like a group of people getting murdered. Finally main bro goes up to his uncle's cabin, a good 80 acres away. Tells him what happened. Comes back to campsite and sees head. Looks at us and tells us that he's not fucking playing games, and we could get arrested for doing sick shit like this and he would call the cops on us himself. If we did it. He realizes instantly we aren't lying and didn't do it. Police get called, they see head, they see chair but they don't care about it. Tell them about screams but they barely paid attention to what we said. Only concerned with head. They tell us to just go home and forget about this. Like. Home. 2.5 hours away. It was clean, I mean someone cut this thing's head off. And they did it fucking good. I hunt. Not for sport really or to be an asshole. But when me and bro and his uncle go, we save the meat and his uncle leave and tans the hide. This was skillfully cut off the thing's body, and the body was nowhere to be found. We tell cops we are too far, and we aren't packing to go home right now. He tells us that we better fucking leave, with our shit or without our shit we have to leave. Brother's uncle gets all WTF and sticks up for us. Cop whispers in his ear, and they both look at us. Bro's uncle tells us to go home. Him and the cop walk away. We are bullshit about everything at this point but we do leave. Bro calls uncle that night when we are home to tell him we're home okay. No answer. Late as fuck at night, sleeping prob. He calls back for the next few weeks and no answer. His uncle literally has avoided him from that day on as much as possible. Acts like he doesn't even fucking exist at all, and that night never even happened. I think about it all the time. Worst part is, we still go up there from time to time. We picked a brand new spot and we even tried going to his uncle's house up there but somehow he is literally never ever home. We know he's alive for fuck's sake cause he said he's seen him at a family party but he does literally act as if he doesn't exist. Or his family really. The guy was so awesome, an idol really and now he's like some mute acting asshole who ignores everyone. Looking sad as fuck all the time. I'll never fucking forget it.